Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G. John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday, only here on Top Shelf Oldies. Want to welcome you to the December 16th, 2017 Vinyl Treasure Show. It's as we close out, 2 more weeks to go in the year 2017, but I'm here to spin my original vinyl 45s, 1950s and early 60s style. I want to thank Ramtown Mike for filling in for me last Saturday evening. Thank you, Mike, for that. And got a cool show this evening as we opened up the 50s edition with a West Coast session drummer, Earl Palmer, on Eddie and Leo Mezzer's Aladdin label, a song called Johnny's House Party. And it's actually a cover. It was first done by Johnny Hartzman and the Gaylarks on the Music City label. This version by Earl Palmer's Party Rockers with the Jayhawks. You hear them clapping and yelling in the background there. Those are the Jayhawks. And the same Jayhawks that recorded for Flash, Eastman, and other labels, and they later on became the Vibrations. And this was a big number 7 on WKBW in Buffalo, New York. Earl Palmer's Party Rockers from May 1957 with the cover Johnny's House Party on Aladdin Records. Well, it's always Johnny's House Party here when I play original vinyl 45s out of my collections. Let's kick off the vocal portion as we stay out on the West Coast and we open up on Art Roop's. There you go, George. Art Roop's specialty label. This group out of Los Angeles, California, first recorded for the Vita label. Then they signed with Specialty Records, and this was their 4th and final release on Specialty. Features Sam Barnett on lead. Let's go back to April 1958. Give a listen to the Titans on Specialty, and their tune, it's called Love is a Wonderful Thing. I like that tune there. Those are the Titans. The Titans, April 1958 release on Art Roop's specialty label out of Los Angeles, California. Sam Barnett on lead. Love is a Wonderful Thing is the name of that one. They would have other releases on the Class and Fidelity labels, but those are the Titans. We open up the vocal portion here from 1958. Let's stay in 58 and have a number of flip sides from the last Vinyl Treasure Show about a couple weeks ago. I featured a group called the Alpacas Alpacas on the MMI label. It was their debut single. It was called Time Marches On. That was the A-side. You know we give a listen to lots of B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, so let's flip it over. This tune written by Ray Stanley. It features Willie Walker on lead. This one from August of 58. The Alpacas on MMI with a B-side. It's called Toodle-Dee-Oo.
Me, baby, 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 baby. If your heart you know what your kisses do to me, please don't let me go. Now the time like white men said, better go in white steel again. To you, I'm in love with you. I'll be seeing you. Baby, say love me too. Do you say love me too? Do you say love me too? Do you say you love me too? Do you?
August 1958 release there for the Alpacas. The Alpacas on the MMI record label. Toodly-Oo is the name of the tune. Willie Walker doing lead for that one. Their next release came out on the Freedom label. As Willie Walker and the Alpacas on that. I have that 45. Don't know if I've featured it here yet, but I will sometime in the future. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes here. We count down the music chronologically, open up with some up-tempos, and we're going to go to an early side now, and it happens to be a B-side from a couple of weeks ago. Featured this great group out of Detroit, Michigan. They were known as the Serenaders. Played the B-side of their deluxe release. It was called Baby, but it featured Noah Howell on lead for that one. Now the A-side features Theron Hill on lead. It's a nice ballad here from November 1953. Give a listen to the Serenaders on deluxe and their tune called Please, Please Forgive Me.
I tried to apologize for the way I acted last night, 'cause I know what I did was right. Please, please forgive me. We've had, oh,
Early sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Serenaders, November 1953, on Sid Nathan's deluxe record label. Theron Hill on lead for that one. Please Forgive Me is the name of the tune. They recorded under several different names during their career. The Musketeers, the Royals on Venus, the Royal Jokers on Atco, but a great group, the Serenaders. They hail out of Detroit, Michigan. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, up next, a group from the Washington Heights area of New York City had 3 releases on Bobby and Danny Robinson's Red Robin label. Featuring the B-side to their first release on Red Robin, features Charles Sampson on lead. Another early side here, September 1953. They're called The Velvets on Red Robin, and their tune called She's Got a Grin.
Oh, do you want? Oh, do you want? Oh, do you want? Well, I got a girl who sure can grin. She likes to run and drink my gin. When she feels there'll be no more, she'll come knocking at my door. Baby, baby, are you real? Well, tell me, baby, how do you feel? Oh, do you want? Just spoiled my fun. Oh, do you want? Oh, do you want? Oh, do you want? You want, you want, you
Whoops, as my mic falls. Those are the Velvets September 1953 release on the Red Robin record label. That is the, not known for their up-tempos, no they're not, but that's a cool up-tempo there. She's Got a Grin is the name of that one, features Charles Sampson on lead. This group, as I mentioned, mostly known for their ballads, but I like that cool jump there. Now, 1955, the lead singer there, Charles Sampson, he would team up with Carl Hogan to record on Red Robin as Charles and Carl. They do a cool tune on the Red Robin label that I have featured here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Now let's continue here. Let's stay in the year of 1953. We're going to send this one out to my old DJ professor, Mr. George Doo-Wop Tompkins. I know he loves this group from the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. They recorded 2 for Sid Nathan's King record label, and this is their second. The lead singer goes by the name of Joe Reed. This one from October 1953. We send it out to George Doo-Wop Tompkins. These are the Magic Tones on King, and their tune, it's called How Can You Treat Me This Way?
Way down deep inside are tears I cannot hide. I want you more each day. I miss that old thrill. I know I always will. How can you treat me this way? I'm blue and all alone. Can't melt your heart of stone. I love you more than words can say. For I just can't conceal the heartaches that I feel. How can you treat me this way? You play the game of pretending from the very first time we met. While I was thrilling to your kisses, you were planning goodbye with no regrets. So way down deep inside are tears I cannot hide. I want you more and more each day. I miss that old thrill. I know I always will. How can you treat me this way?
Wow, they don't make records like that anymore. Those are the Magic Tones. Magic Tones, October 1953. That's their second release on Sid Nathan's King record label. How Can You Treat Me This Way? Joe Reed on lead for that one. We send it out to George Duob Tompkins. I got to thank George for coming over here and setting me up with a new microphone, so now I could have guest collectors and guest people here in the Johnny G, no humidity basement here, no humidity attic, I guess I could say, and also for helping or fixing my turntables and helping me with that. George, much appreciated, and hope you're digging on the tunes. Got another one coming up for you in a little bit, but thank you so much, George, Mr. George Tompkins. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, we move into 1955 for a flip side that I featured a couple weeks ago. Actually, I played the B-side of this of 45. It was the group's only release on Sid Nathan's Federal label. The song was called Sentimental Heart. It featured Harold Lewis on lead. Thank you, George, for that info. But let's give a spin to the A-side, which, by the way, became a big cover hit in 1959 by a group called the Fiestas on the Old Town label. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Fiestas, a song So Fine. Well, that's not the original. This is the original of So Fine, written by Johnny Otis. It features Mel Williams on lead. This is the original version of So Fine. We go back to August of 1955 for the Sheiks. The Sheiks on Federal with the original version of So Fine.
Well, girl, you're so fine, so fine. So fine, so fine. My baby's so doggone fine. She loves me, come rain, come shine. Oh, yeah. She's so fine. She thrill me and cherry wine. Oh, yeah, so fine.
Bet you didn't know that was the original of So Fine, but yes, it was. The Fiestas covered that song, but that's by the Sheiks. The Sheiks there, August 1955. Tune written by Johnny Otis on the Federal record banner there, the original version of So Fine. JohnnyG's here for a Saturday evening, spinning original vinyl 45s out of my collection. We continue here. The lead singer for this next group was also the lead singer of the Dixieres on Harlem, also the Kings on Baton, the Ravens on Argo, just to name a few. And in 1955, he teamed up with group members Willie Ray, Bob Cornegay, and Willis Sanders to record As the Bells for George Golner's Rama record label. And here's one they released in 1955. It features Joe Van Loan on lead. We're going to send this one out to George Doo-Wop Tompkins because he likes Joe Van Loan, and so do I. This one, a rare 45 on the Rama label, July 1955. Give a listen to the Bells. The Bells with their tune. It's called What Can I Tell Her Now? July July 1955, release there for the Bells, Joe Van Loan on lead. That's George Goldner's Rama record label, a great label to collect. All those earlier sides, they're very difficult to find on original, that's for sure. The Bells there with What Can I Tell Her Now? Well, tell her to tune in to Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show, featuring cool 1950s and early 60s original vinyl 45s out of my collection. Let's continue here. Here's another flip side we did a couple weeks ago by this group out of Dayton, Ohio. They were known as the Dusters. Initially, they were called the Belvederes, and I played the A side of their 1956 release on the Arc label. It was called Give Me Time. Now, the B side is written by the lead singer. His name is Robert Higginbotham, and he would record in the mid-60s as Tommy Tucker, but his real name was Robert Higginbotham. This one from June 1956. Let's give a listen to the Dusters on Arc. And the B side, it's called Sallie Mae.
Oh, Sallie Mae, oh, people that day, Sallie Mae, Sallie Mae, oh, yeah, child, don't you know? Oh, little darling, when are you coming home? Oh, yeah. Everybody knows what I'm hoping for. Sallie Mae, Sallie Mae, Sallie Mae, child. Oh yeah. Oh, little darling, when are you coming home? Oh yeah. Oh baby, don't you know I love you so? Oh, don't you go? Oh yeah, don't you know, baby? I love you so. Come on, how you know? Yeah, come on back, baby. Well, don't you go, baby? You know I love you so. Come on, mama, don't you go? Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, now go. Well, everybody knows what I'm hoping for. Sallie Mae, Sallie Mae. Oh yeah, don't you know? Oh, little darling, when are you coming home? Oh yeah, oh child, come on, oh baby.
June 1956 release there for the Dusters, a.k.a. the Belvederes. Originally known as the Belvederes, they had to change their name because there was a Belvederes group already in existence. But those are the Dusters on Arc with Tommy Tucker on lead, a.k.a. Robert Higginbotham. Sallie Mae is the name of the tune. John G here for a Saturday evening, a cold evening. Actually, this week we've got frigid here in New York City. We had a couple snowstorms we did, so this wasn't really a good week. And also, it was actually saddened that I lost he was actually a dear friend, a record dealer, Spence Wooten. He unfortunately he passed away and wasn't expected, really. I know he wasn't really feeling too well, but it was just a sad thing for me, really heartbroken over it. I went to his wake on Thursday, and it was very sad because Spence so instrumental with supplying me with lots and lots of 45s through the years, and I really never thought that it would come to this, but really I'm saddened and sorry that it happened, and for Laura and the girls and Paula, my sincere condolences, and he will surely be missed, but it was a sad thing. But I have him here. He is surrounding me with all these records that he has really provided me over the years, really instrumental. If he went to the record shows, I would be here doing the show, and he would be at that Allentown record show, and he would call me up on the phone, and he'd say, Johnny, do you need the Kids on Imperial or whatever it was? And I'd say yes. He goes, well, I got to drive it up to you, and you got to give me a check or money for it right away. And I said, not a problem, bring it up. I got to put it on the turntable and listen to it. But he will surely be missed. Anyway, as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, and on the last show, I featured this group out of Brooklyn, New York. Actually, their 4th of 7 on Sid Nathan's King label. It was called Raining in My Heart. They followed it up with this release, which is actually a cover originally done by the Drifters on Atlantic. And the Drifters do a great rendition of this. But this one is, I call it second best because I like the Drifters better. But I do like this version also. It features Henry Austin on lead. We go back to April of 1956. Give a listen to the Hurricanes on King, with their rendition of the Drifters song, Your Promise to Me.
Said that we wouldn't ever part. Oh, but I won't hold you to your promise to be mine. I'll be lonely when you're gone. Some way, somehow, I'll carry on. Oh, but I won't hold you to your promise to be mine. After all, just loving you.
Cover tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes, they're their 5th of 7 on Sid Nathan's King record label. April 1956 release of their rendition of the Drifters song, Your Promise to Me. Henry Austin on lead for that one. John G here for a Saturday evening spinning original vinyl 45s out of my collection. Let's continue here. Let's go to Zell Sanders' J&S record label out of the Bronx, New York. Now, one of the first groups she signed to the label were a trio of very, very young gals. I mean, really young, like Kitty Lead young. They were, I think, 7, 8, and 9 years old. I don't even know who they were, but she named them the preteens. I don't know if you can call them even preteens. They're like what are you in middle school? But anyway, they were really, really young. And this one is, I think this might be the first group record. I don't know if it is the first record on J&S, because her numbering system was so screwy. It was. was. But anyway, it's a very rare record to get on the J&S record label out of the Bronx, New York. The Chi-Tan 5 is providing the instrumentation. Let's give it a spin. June 1956, the Preteens on J&S. It's called What Makes Me Love You Like I Do. June 56 release there for the Preteens. Preteens on Zell Sanders' J&S record label out of the Bronx, New York. What makes me love you like I do? I don't know. Anyway, John G continuing here for a Saturday evening. And on the last Vinyl Treasure show, I featured a group known as the Five Debonaires. They were out of Atlanta, Georgia. Their only release on Al Silver's Herald label, a song called Darlin', a cool tune that they do. Now, the B-side of the 45 is not quite a vocal, although on the label it says vocal. It's more of a chorus, but you hear them in the background, that is for sure. But it's almost an instrumental, but not quite, because the chorus is somewhat prominent in the background. It's from November of 1957. Let's give a listen to this B-side. I have it by the Five Debonaires, and I'm featuring it on a West Coast Monarch press, which for some reason those Monarch presses are cleaner sounding than the East Coast presses. Anyway, the Five Debonaires on Herald, and their tune is called Whispering Blues. like that tune there. Those are the Five Debonaires. The Five Debonaires chorus, I guess we can say, but that's the B-side. November 1957, Whispering Blues is the name of that one. It's on Al Silver's Herald label. Now, Bill Lowry of Lowry Music in Atlanta produced that 45. After this release, he would form the NRC label. Actually, there's some group records on that NRC label, some cool rockers also. But anyway, there you go. Great two-sided 45. John G here, continuing with the music. We are in the year 1957. This next group is a combination, really, of two groups. Both of a male and female group. The male group is, wait, what did I say here? One is a male group, the other is a female group. Hence the name of, they were called the Kings and Queens. And it came out on Danny Robinson's Everlast record label. Now, the Kings included members of the Orioles that recorded for the VJ label, and the Queens included members of the Deltones that recorded on the Baton label. And the lead singer on this song is Della Simpson. She was the lead of the Deltones. And this one's from June of 1957. I like the tune a lot. On Everlast Records, Danny Robinson's Everlast label, the Kings and Queens, and their tune is called Voices of Love.
Way on.
Those are the Kings and Queens, June 1957 release, Voices of Love. That one there, Danny Robinson's Everlast record label. That's a nice tune. I like that one there. John G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. And on the last Vinyl Treasure show, my opening instrumental was by the Chi-Tone 5 Orchestra. Now, they were the house band for Zell Sanders' J&S record label. I just played. They were playing behind those preteens, and a couple weeks ago I opened up the Vinyl Treasure show with their tune Smitty's Rock. But that was the B-side of the 45. Now, the A-side was the first solo release by Justine Baby Washington. I posted this one up on my Facebook page. You you can go there. John Galindo, you can check out the some of the records I've already featured this evening. But this is Baby Washington's first solo release, and there is a vocal group backing her up on this. They're known as the Plants, who also had their own releases on the JNS record label. Let's give a listen to this one. It came out in April of 1957. Baby Washington's first solo release on JNS Records. The song is called Every Day. April 1957 release there, Zell Sanders, JNS record label out of the Bronx, New York. That is a Baby Washington. Baby Washington. The Plants backing her up on that one. They're not mentioned. They're uncredited on the label there. But Every Day is the name of the tune. Now, prior to this release, she was a member of the Hearts, and also she sang lead on the very first JNS 45, rare record on the JNS label. It's called I Wanted. It's actually spelled wrong on the first press, WONTED. I Wanted to Be Free. And that one there from 1956. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on the cool 45s out of my collection. We do it every Saturday from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Actually, I'm getting into the Christmas season. Next week, I probably will be pulling out some Christmas 45s. I was looking for that 5 keys. It's Christmas time. I couldn't find it. But I'm going to look for them this week. That I will. Let's continue here. Let's stay on Zell Sanders' JNS label for a very rare 45, ultra rare 45 by this group called The Climbers. They had 2 releases on the JNS label, and I posted this one up on my Facebook wall also. I was lucky to own both of these Climbers 45 on the original press. And let's give a listen to their first release. Now, the true original of this 45 omits the group's name on the label. It's just the Climbers are not mentioned, and it just lists Rex Garvin and Orchestra. And this is the intended A-side of the 45 from January of 57. Give a listen to the Climbers on JNS, and this is the A-side. It's called My Darling Dear.
Oh, do, do, do.
Rare 45s here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Climbers. The Climbers, January 1957, Zell Sanders J&S record label, actually did like a mini spotlight on the J&S record label. My Darling Dear is the name of the tune. Now, Joe Rivers of Johnny and Joe fame was a member of this group and was lucky that I won this 45 in a John Tefteller auction years and years ago, and not a cheapie by any means. No, it is not. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening spinning original vinyl 45. Let's continue here. We move into 1958. I haven't heard this next song in a long time. Used to be featured quite a bit on oldie radio back in the early 1970s when I first tuned in to hear a lot of these records for the first time. Another group from the Bronx, New York, and one of the earliest interracial quintets, as they hooked up with Don Carter, who was a New York agent for Don Robey's Duke Peacock organization, and he signed this group to a contract. Their debut single came out on the newly formed Backbeat record label out of Houston, Texas in the summer of 1957. I'm sure you're familiar with the tune Tell Me Why, but they followed it up with this release from March of 1958. Let's send this one out to Linda Gaeta. She's tuned in to Johnny G tonight listening to the Vinyl Treasure Show. This is Norman Fox and the Rob Roys on the Backbeat record label with Buddy Lucas in the orchestra, and their cool tune. It's called Dance Girl Dance.
Dance, girl, dance. And while you're dancing, why not dance into romance? The boys all looking at you, staring in a trance. Go on and dance, girl, dance. Swing, girl, swing. You swinging thing, you, when you start to sing, you find yourself a guy and wedding bells will ring. Go on and swing, girl, swing. Swing, girl, swing. My heart is like a symphony. Its melody is haunting me. I hear a sound, I turn around, and then your feet go off the ground. My heart just sits in splendor, like a love song, sweet and tender. Oh, hey, little girl, don't you know I'm never gonna let you go? Why, girl, why? Can't you believe that every star that fills the sky is just a portion of the tears that fill my eyes? Oh, when you dance, girl, dance. Girl, dance. Go! a symphony. This melody is haunting me. I hear a sound, I turn around, and then your feet go off the ground. My heart just sits in splendor, like a love song, sweet and tender. Oh, hey, little girl, don't you know I'll never, ever let you go. My girl, mine. Can't you believe that every star that fills the sky is just a portion of the tears that fill my eyes? Oh, when you dance, girl, dance, girl, dance. Boom, 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 till we roll. Boom, boom, boom,
March 1958, released there for Norman Fox and the Rob Roys on the Backbeat label down in Houston, Texas, although they recorded it here in New York City. The Bell Sound Studios, I think they recorded it. Dance Girl Dance is the name of the tune. I remember seeing them at one of the T.J. Lubinsky shows in New Jersey, Dave the Rave, and I went to one of the shows. We got tickets to go. I think Stu Weiss was there with a guest, and a couple other people were there too, and we had a good time. And I saw him perform along with Little Anthony and the Imperials, Joe Jones of the Pentagons. Who else did we see? I think I saw before Cleve Duncan passed away with the Penguins. The Passions were there, and Jay Traynor was singing with the Passions before he passed away. But it was a pretty cool show. It was, yes, it was. But anyway, that's Norman Fox and the Rob Roys, Dance Girl Dance. John G here for a Saturday evening. We continue here, 45s from the year 1958. That's what we're up to. Here's another flip from the last Vinyl Treasure show. It's on Alfred Crite Mason Jr.'s Mason's label out of Brooklyn, New York. It featured the up-tempo side by this group called the Thrashers, which I was surprised was the intended B-side of the 45. It was called Genie. Now, the A-side is a killer ballad, which was, again, similar. The writer is also the lead singer. His name is Bernard Felton. Bernard Felton, he's on lead. This is from 1958. Give a listen to the Thrashers on the Masons label. The song is called Forever My Love.
Sometimes it seems like everything goes wrong, but then again, life is just a happy song. But no matter what our fate might be, I'll always love you tenderly. Forever, my
those those are the Thrashers. The Thrashers 1958 release on the Masons label. That was the intended A-side, believe it or not. I would think that the up-tempo side would be the A-side, but no. The Thrashers there, Forever My Love, Bernard Felton on lead for that one. Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s. We continue. We are in 1958. Now, Bob and Morty Shad, very instrumental in the R&B field in the early days, early 1950s, the mid-1950s, primarily with their label. It was Harlem Records out of New York City. But the brothers then went their separate ways after Harlem shut down. Now, Bob Shad went to Mercury Records. He was producing jazz records for Mercury. But then in late 1958, he left Mercury to manage two new labels he was creating. At the time, they were known as Time Records and Junior Records. Well, at least it started off as Junior Records, because then they needed to change the name to Shad Records because there was already a Juniors label out of Philadelphia. But anyway, this was the debut single on the Junior, aka Shad label, I guess we can call it. It's by a group known as the Big Five. I don't know anything else about the group, but they're called the Big Five. This one from late 1958. This is the A-side, the Big Five on Junior. It's called Wob Ding-a-Ling.
Well, I had a little girl living across the track. I used to go to see her every night. Every time I go to steal a little kiss, what doggone the doorbell ring. Oh, wop ding-a-ling, ba-da-da-da-da, wop ding-a-ling, ba-da-da-da-da, wop ding-a-ling, ba-da-da-da-da, wop. Well, she had boyfriends all over town. I thought I was the only cat all around. Every time I go to turn the lights down low, here comes some fella knocking at the front door. Wop ding-a-ling, ba-da-da-da-da, wop ding-a-ling, ba-da-da-da-da, wop ding-a-ling, ba-da-da-da-da, wop. Well, 1 o'clock Willie, wop ding-a-ling, 2 o'clock Jimmy, wop ding-a-ling, 3 o'clock Henry, wop, 4 o'clock Timmy, wop ding-a-ling, 5 o'clock Smitty, wop, wop, wop ding-a-ling, 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 wop, wop ding-a-ling. Well, 1 o'clock Henry, wop ding-a-ling, 2 o'clock Jimmy, wop ding-a-ling, 3 o'clock Billy, wop ding-a-ling, 4 o'clock Tilly, wop ding-a-ling, 5 o'clock Smitty, wop, wop, wop ding-a-ling, 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 wop, wop ding-a-ling. One more time. Wop, wop ding-a-ling, 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 wop, wop ding-a-ling.
They're called the Big Five. The Big Five. The Big Five, their late 1958 release, Wob Ding-a-Ling, is the name of the tune. It came out on the Junior record label. Now, right now, after that release, they were forced to change the name of the label because Junior was already in existence, that Philly label, as I mentioned. So the label became Shad Records, and this group would have one more release. They recorded it late in 59, released in early 1960, a song called Blue Eyes. And again, Bob Shad also started in 1959 the Brent label. What was the biggest hit on the Brent label? It's possibly It's either was Skip and Flip's It Was I or their cover of Cherry Pie. One of those, I think, were the biggest hits on the label anyway. John G babbling on for a Saturday evening. Let's continue. Another rare 45 out of 1958. I'm sure you're familiar with the song Lollipop by the Chordettes. Well, the writer of that song, his name was Julius Dixon, and he wrote other songs too that were hits like Dim Dim the Lights for Bill Haley and the Comets, and others that were not so big hits like It Hurts to Be in Love by Ann Laurie. I think that's on Deluxe Records. And also for James Brown, Begging, Begging. That's on I think it's on Federal Records. And also The Clouds by the Spacemen. What's that on the Alton label, I think, which might be his label too. I'm not sure. I didn't check that one out. But he had many others, but he also owned a label, and it was called Timely Records, not the Timely label that the Ambassadors and the Charmers were on. This is a different Timely label. And I have two very rare releases on that Timely label. One is by the J-Tones, one is by the J-Tones, which was the second release, and the one I'm featuring is the first release on the Timely label. It's by a group known as the Pharaoh-Tones, which I have no info on, but I can tell you that Julius Dixon wrote the song, and this one's from 1958. Let's give it a spin. The Pharaoh-Tones on Timely. The tune is called Give Me a Chance.
Give me a chance, darling.
Rare 45s for a Saturday evening. That one there on Julius Dixon's Timely record label. Those are the Pharaoh-Tones from 1958. For you collectors out there, the official title in parentheses, it says, Give Me a, close parentheses, Chance is the name of the tune. And again, a tune written by Julius Dixon. Now, by the way, I mentioned Lollipop by the Chordettes. Actually, this song was written for Ronald and Ruby. They were an interracial duo that recorded for the RCA label, and the Chordettes covered that song. Yes, they did. John G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes here. Let's move into the year 1959. 59, and the next two 45s I'm playing are from the last Vinyl Treasure show, the flip sides, of course. And I played the A-side of this one on the Kane label, K-A-N-E, a label out of New York City. Now, the group was called the Five Crystals, and I played the A-side. It was called Hey Landlord. Well, let's check out the B-side, which is actually another cool tune, as this B-side written by the same guy who wrote the A-side, Dossie Terry. This was from October of 59. These are the Five Crystals on Kane. The tune is called Good Looking Out.
She's mine, oh mine. Well, that's good. Well, what about me? Well, oh, I really love that girl. Yes, I really love her so well. I never let her go. She's my true lover, I know. She said, what about me?
That's a cool jump tune there for sure. The Five Crystals is the name of the group, October 1959. Good Looking Out. It doesn't sound right, but anyway, that's the name of it. Good Looking Out. It's on the Kane record label. Now, the Kane Records, the next release on the Kane label was by Dave Campanella and the Delcords. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that tune. It was called Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I have another one by a group called the Newports on this Kane label. John G here for a Saturday evening. We continue another one here in 1959. Another 45 I played on the last Vinyl Treasure show was by a group called the Five Sounds, and I featured the B-side of their 45, a great up-tempo tune called Good Time Baby. Came out on the Baritone record label, but the A-side's a nice ballad, and both sides written by the lead singer. His name is Billy Mashburn, and this one from December of 59. Give a listen to the Five Sounds on baritone, Billy Mashburn on lead. It's called That's When I Fell in Love.
The way you held my hand. desire. Filling my heart with the love and so much desire. Oh, I will always remember. Remember your love, just like a dying ember. The day you told me, baby, that you love me, don't you know don't you know don't you know I fell in love.
That's a great tune there. They're called The Five Sounds, December 1959 release there. Billy Mashburn. Billy Mashburn on lead, That's When I Fell in Love. That's the intended A-side. It's on the Baritone record label. Now, Billy Mashburn, he would later on have a solo release on the Atlantic label in 1963, a song, I think I've played it here for you listeners. It's called Don't It Sound Good. I have to thank George Doo-Wop Tompkins for letting me know that even prior to this Five Sounds release in December of 59, that Billy was lead of the Eboniers on the Port label. They were release that came out in May of 59 earlier, and he wrote both sides of that 45, a good one, Hand in Hand, backed with Shut Your Mouth. Anyway, Jaji not shutting his mouth, not till midnight at least. So let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. This is two more 45s to go in 1959. Here's another rare 45. It's on Clark Galehouse's Golden Crest label. This group, they're known as the Serenaders. Now, not the same group that recorded on the Win label out of Washington, D.C., also known as the Marvels, I think, too. This group probably local to the Long Island area, as a lot of the local groups recorded on the Golden Crest label. And this one's from October of 58. They're called the Serenaders. It's on Golden Crest. The name of the tune is called Poor Little Puppet.
Poor little puppet.
Why did I fall in love with you? For now my world is blue. You hold the strings in your hands, and I'm at your command. I'm a poor little puppet, just a poor little puppet.
That's a pretty nice record, like that 45 there. The Serenaders Serenaders, October 1958. It's styrene press, too, that Golden Crest label. Oh, I don't know any vinyl, hard vinyl records on Golden Crest. It's all that soft styrene, but that one plays nice. The Serenaders there with Poor Little Puppet. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure, the last 45 from 1959. I saw this one in the box. I wanted to play it again. And when most of these records turn up, this one that I'm featuring, they are in awful shape. They are always beat to death for some reason. You only can get this record in the Detroit area, as both my copies, when I got both, this is my worst copy. I got a better copy from Carl Pellegrino. He had one listed that I ended up buying, better than this one, but you only can get this out of Detroit, so you got to buy it from a dealer in Detroit, unless you're going to get it out of somebody else's collection. But the historical fact about this record is that it's one of the first records to be published under Berry Gordy Jr.'s publishing company, Joe Bet Music. It's one of the first ones. This record came out in January of 1959. The tune was written by Smokey Robinson and Berry Gordy Jr., and it features the Rayber voices in the background. So let's give it a spin. It's by Wade Jones. Apologize for the scratches, but that's the way it goes. Anyways, from January 59, it's Wade Jones on Rayber, Rayber, and the name of the tune is called Insane. Out of Detroit, Michigan there on the Rayber record label. That's Wade Jones. Wade Jones with the Rayber voices. They don't get mentioned on the label. January 1959 release, a song entitled Insane. And the label name Rayber was derived from Berry Gordy Jr.'s second wife, Raynoma Lyles, and from Berry Gordy himself. That is Rayber Records. John G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue. Let's continue as we stay in Detroit, Michigan. We move to 1960 to Devorah Brown's Fortune label for sort of a cover song, because it's not really exact and the arrangement is a little different, but some of the lyrics, they do sound the same, and I think it was taken originally, or the intent was to copy the Marv Johnson record label. His first release, Marv Johnson's first release, that is, was in 1958 on the Kudo label, was called My Baby O. But this song is also called My Baby O, and it's by the $5, and the writer credit goes to the lead singer, Little Eddie Hurt. He's the lead singer. Let's give it a spin from 1960, the $5. It's on Devorah Brown's Fortune label, and their tune called My Baby O. My baby oh, my baby oh.
My baby, oh, wonder why do I love her so? I'll never, never, ever let her go. That's my baby, oh. She stays at home, yeah, she stays there all alone, and she doesn't even telephone. That's my baby, oh. Loves me in the morning, thrills me all night long, holds me in her arms, and she wants her all of my charm. Oh, my baby, oh, she does everything to me, and I promise her that she will be my baby, oh. Loves me in the morning, thrills me all night long, holds me in her arms, and she wants her all of my charm. Oh, my baby, oh, she does everything to me, and I promise her that she would be my baby, oh. My baby, oh.
Sounds of 1960 here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the $5. The $5 with Little Eddie Hurt on lead, My Baby O. It sounds a little, not a lot, but a little. I think they were taking it from Marv Johnson's tune, My Baby O. It's on Devorah Brown's Fortune record label, and that one plays pretty nice, that Fortune Records, and a lot of them do not, of course. I remember the first time I heard that was on the Time Capsule show, and at the time, I was not working, of course. I was a teenager, so the only way I can get that record was buying those dollar bootlegs at the time. I think they were $1. But then when after I graduated college, and although I was dabbling in originals, but I couldn't really spend a lot of money, a couple dollars here and there on a couple 45s. But when I started working and earning, I was able to buy some of the more expensive 45s. But I heard that one on the Time Capsule show. John G here for a Saturday evening. We continue, and let's stay in 1960. And I tell you that, we lost Spence Wooten. This is a record that he sold to me, and I say I have records that are surrounding me every day that Spence was involved in. But he sold me this rare 45 out of Los Angeles, California, on the Magnificent label, and the group was known as the Arabians. I posted this one up on my Facebook wall. They have 2 releases on the label, and this is the first. course, this is the B-side of their first release. And the group members were Arnold Franklin, Benny Grant, Douglas Brown, and Timothy Labor. 1960 release. These are the Arabians on Magnificent. The song is called My Heart Beats Over and Over Again. Rare California sounds here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. 1960, they're called the Arabians. The Arabians on the Magnificent record label. That is their first release. My Heart Beats Over and Over Again. Yes, it does, every Saturday from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Let's continue with another one out of 1960 for this gal that goes back to the early 1950s. She was crippled since birth, but she won Amateur Night at the Apollo back in 1951, and as she was signed to Herman Lubinsky's Savoy label, had 10 releases on Savoy Records, also recorded for Groove and RCA. She ended her career on the Cub Records, subsidiary of MGM Records, had 3 releases on Cub. This is the first of 3, a tune written by Otis Blackwell. We go to September of 1960, Miss Veretta Dillard. Veretta Dillard here on the Cub label. Give a listen to her tune. It's called Teaser.
I can't ever believe
That's the first of three for Veretta Dillard on the Cub record banner there, September 1960 release. Teaser is the name of the tune. John G teases you with original 45s every Saturday from 10 to midnight as we continue here. We move into 1961, another flip side from a couple weeks ago on the Vinyl Treasure Show. I played a group known as the Illusions. The Illusions recorded for Al Silver's Ember label. Now, the intended A-side I featured was called How High is the Mountain. I also like the B-side of the 45. I don't know which Illusions group this is, as there were a number of groups that used the name Illusions, but a great two-sided one here from January 1961, Ember Records, the Illusions, and their tune called Can't Wait. Is that it? Yes. Can't We Fall in Love?
Why can't we fall in love? I would give my heart to only you. Yes, you'd say that you love me too, and forever we'll be true. Why can't it be tonight? No, don't say it's not right. Why can't we fall in love? I pray to the Lord above. I would give you everything your heart desires, but to have you, darling, is my one desire. I don't even know your name, but I love you just the same. Why can't we fall in love? I pray to the Lord above. I would give you everything your heart desires, but to have you, darling, is my one desire. I don't even know your name, but I love you just the same. Why can't we fall in love? I pray to the Lord above.
Whoops. January 1961 release, Al Silver's Ember label for that one. They're called the Illusions. The Illusions there with Can't We Fall in Love. No, great two-sided 45. I like that one there. As we move on here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, you all know this next group out of Philadelphia, PA. Their signature song was literally stolen from another song released in 1958, originally on the Note label, but I'm sure many of you had it on the Checker label by the Students. I'm sure you know the tune called Every Day of the Week. They just reworked that song, and it became this group's biggest hit. And you know it was called the Bristol Stomp, but this is their debut song, the first of 15 they recorded on the Parkway label. Of course, I'm talking about the Dovels. This one written by Len Borisov. I think that's it, Borisov. He was the a.k.a. Len Barry, the lead singer of the group. This one from March of 61, the Dovels on Parkway. And this is their first record, a song called No, No, No.
No, 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 don't stop me now, no.
That's a debut single for Len Barry and the Dovells. March 1961 on the Parkway record label. No, No, No is the name of the tune. I have to I have to admit I cheated a little bit. That record, actually, I featured the 1963 re-release of the record, which charted number 81 on WIBG in 1963. But I own two copies, nice mint unplayed promo of the original copy from March of 1961. Anyway, I have a picture sleeve of that too. That is a nice 10-cent purchase. Went to one of the flea markets, and the guy, I think it was Stormville Airport, if I'm not mistaken, up in in Fishkill, New York. Stormville, New York, not Fishkill, New York, but if you pass Fishkill. But anyway, the guy, you know how Woolworths used to have those stands where you can buy 4 records for $1, and they would have stamped on it NR for no return. And at the time, I think they were unsleeved originally. Then Woolworths would get them, and they put them in those plastic packs, and you'd have to look through them through the plastic. But anyway, he brought out this whole thing of records, and it was intact. But I was a fool at the time because I only took one copy of everything he had in there. And he had some rare soul record on the Ringo label with the cool sleeves and whatnot. I only took one, but he had multiple copies, 6 copies of this and 5 copies of that record by the Dovells with picture sleeves. And I should have taken them all, but you see, live and learn. John G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. I have another B-side from the last Vinyl Treasure show. Their great girl group sound out of California played their debut 45 on the Flip label. It was called Been Looking Your Way, but I like the flip side too. It's the first of 3 for the Emotions. This features Lena Calhoun on lead. This one from March of 61, released the same time as that Dovells 45. It's on Flip Records. These are the Emotions, and the song is called I Ran to You.
I ran across the street, for it was you I wanted to meet, but you passed me by with your head up high.
Cool girl group sounds here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Emotions with Lena Calhoun on lead, March 1961. That's the B-side to their first release on the Flip label. It's called I Ran to You. John G runs to you every Saturday from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Let's continue here. We stay out on the West Coast for this next group. It's on the Trans-American label, which was owned by Aki Aliong. I think that's how you pronounce it. He was born in Trinidad but grew up here in New York City, and he was exposed to R&B music at an early age. He issued several vocal group recordings which are considered worthy examples of that genre. From what I read about him. Now, a group that he used on many of those recordings were called the Actones, and initially they backed up someone by the name of Tony Moon, and kind of a teen sound with a group behind him, this Actones called Love. But Tony left the group to join Dante and the Evergreens. Then Will Wendell was already a member of the Actones, and he became the lead singer, and it kicked off Aki Aliong's new label. Was called Trans-American Records, and this was the first release. It came out in April of 1962, so let's give it a spin. Will Wendell and the Actones. It's on Trans-American from April of 62. It's called Lonely Blue Boy.
Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb, nippy, bomb, bomb, nippy, bomb.
Just call me Party.
Bomb, bomb,
Sad as can
bomb,
be.
bomb, nippy,
Oh yeah,
bomb,
no one to call now.
bomb,
Want to help for me now. Oh, I'm lonely, lonely blue boy, lonely blue boy. I'm a lonely blue boy. Yeah, yeah. Now send me something. Oh yeah, someone to hold in hand and to dream of. Yeah, yeah. I'm lonely, lonely blue boy, lonely blue boy. I'm a lonely blue boy. Maybe my dreams won't haunt me. Maybe someone could care. Maybe someone would want me. But who on earth would care? I'm lonely, lonely blue boy, lonely blue boy. I'm a lonely blue boy. Yeah, yeah. Now send me now, someone to love me now, love me now, love me now. Someone to hold me now, hold me now, hold me now. Someone who wants me now, wants me now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, I haven't heard that one in a long, long time. That's a cool tune. Will Wendell and the Actones. April 1962. It's on the Trans-American label. Actually, it kicked off Ali Akilong's label, Trans-America. Lonely Blue Boy is the name of that one. I think Aki Aliong also was an actor. He was, and he also recorded on his own. He has some pretty cool records. He does Pan World, I think, is his label also. And I have Jerry Diaz sold me a promo by Aki and the Actones. I think it was him. I have to pull that one out. A very interesting song. Anyway, Johnny G here as we winding down here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. I have another flip side from last week, the last Vinyl Treasure Show. I featured the A-side of this 45. It was the debut single for a group known as the Persians. It was on Jerry Simon's RSVP record label out of New York City. I featured the A-side. It was called Dance Now. Now, the B-side is an excellent ballad as we go to March of 1962. These are the Persians. The Persians on RSVP. It's the B-side. It's called Tears of Love.
I've got a girl. She's in love with me. Don't know how this can be. Tears of love. These are the tears of love. Tears of love. I walk the floor night after night, thinking of you. Wonder if it's right. Tears of love. These are the tears of love. Tears of love. I want you every day, oh darling, since you've been gone away. I want you here by my side and tell me you love me so. I walk the floor night after night, thinking of you. Wonder if it's right. Tears of love. These are the tears of love. Tears of love.
March 1962 release there. I like that tune by the Persians on the RSVP record label. Tears of Love is the name of the tune. They would go on to have two more releases, one on the Golden Eagle label. I think the other one came out on Music World, also released on the Gold Disc label, and I forget which one is first. I think probably Music World. Anyway, Jaji here for a Saturday evening as we wind down here. Got a few more 45s to go before I sign off here, and here is the final flip side for tonight by this great girl group out of Detroit, Michigan. I played the B-side of their third of 5 released on the Big Top label. The song was called Mine All Mine, which was a female cover version of the Royal Jokers 1956 release She's Mine All Mine on Atco. Now, the intended A-side, it was an answer record to Gene Chandler's big hit, Duke of Earl. The song charted regionally, number 25 on WACK out of Newark, New Jersey. This features Elma Holman on lead. We go to January 1962. Bobby Smith, a.k.a. Elma Holman, and the Dreamgirls on the Big Top label. This is the A-side. It's called The Duchess of Earl.
Duchess of Earl, 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 Duchess of Earl. As I walk through
Answer tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That is Bobby Smith and the Dream Girls, January 1962 releases on the Big Top label. It's called The Duchess of Earl. Now, this song was the original. It was covered 1 month after this release by the Pearlettes on the VJ label. They did the cover version of this tune. Jai G here for probably 1, 2, 3 more 45s before we sign off here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's go back to Los Angeles, California, where the core of this group formed while attending Manual Arts High School in Los Angeles, California. The members were brothers Finis, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Finis, Finis. How would you pronounce that? Finis or Finis, and Herman Petway and Willie Jones. They were the core members of this group. They would add one more female. They only remembered her by her first name. Her name was Lenore. And they put out one release on Sid Talmadge's Highland label. So this features Finis Petway on lead. This one from November of 62. They're called the Precisions. The Precisions on Highland. The song is called 8 Reasons Why I Love You. That's a nice sound out of California. They're called The Precisions, November 1962 release, 8 Reasons Why I Love You. That's Sid Talmadge's Highland record label. Features Lost My Place. It features Finis Petaway on lead, and the gal they remembered as Lenore, she would leave the group and they would add another member Hubert Pig Williams, and then they would record for Lummy Fowler as the upfronts. And they recorded that tune, Most of the Pretty Young Girls, which I have featured here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. 2 more 45s to go. This next group is out of Reading, Pennsylvania. Remember purchasing this 45 from Louis Silvani and Times Square Records. I think he had a small quantity on this 45, and it's on the Bethlehem label, distributed by King Records, a song written by the lead singer. His name is Ralph Skip Petrobone. Let's give it a spin. This is the intended B-side from November 1962. They're called The Pretenders. The Pretenders on Bethlehem. The tune is called Ding Dong Bells.
Ding dong, dong. Mama, 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 ding, ding, ding dong, ding, ding, ding dong, ding, ding, ding dong. Mama, 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 Bill, I love you down. I never see you down. I still love her. That's why you will. Searching the whole night through, just looking for someone like you. 'Cause I need you. That's why you will. Bells all around, all over town, in my heart, say we'll never part. All over town, all around, they're even in my heart. Yeah, I love you down, I never see you down, but I still love her. That's why you will. Bells all around, all over town, in my heart, say we'll never part. All over town, all around, they're even in my heart. Searching the whole night through, just looking for someone like you. 'Cause I need you, that's why you will. Mama, 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 bells. Oh, 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 bells. Ay, 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 bells. Oh, me, oh, my.
November 1962 release there. They're called The Pretenders. The Pretenders is on the Bethlehem record label. The name of the tune is called Ding Dong Bells. That's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with Johnny G, send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Been recording this one on the Ustream broadcaster. Going to post it up on my YouTube wall at Johnny G Vinyl Treasures. You can check it out for those of you that like to view the labels. You can also go to my website, vinyltreasures.net, where you can stream or download the shows there. I have a hot button you can click and take you to my archive page. You can stream or download there. You can also go to the Top Shelf Oldies website where we have the photos and the stories behind the DJs. There's also links there that you can click. But that's going to do it for this evening, and I hope you enjoyed all the cool tunes. We're going to close the show tonight from a 1963, July 63, a rare 45 out of Philadelphia, PA. I posted it up on my Facebook wall. You can check it out. It's on the Lawn label, and if you own an original of this 45, check your copy and see if it is stamped NR in red, like no return. because that means no return. And the A side of the 45 is a pretty cool Halloween song. It's called Spooksville Unknown. It's actually a pretty cool tune. But the B side is a killer ballad. And I remember when I purchased this one, hemming and hawing with Bob Ellis, the Count, on this record a long, long time ago. Anyways, from July of 63, the closer tonight is by the New Trends. It's on Lawn Records, and the song is called Together. And we're here together on Saturday evenings from 10 to midnight. Hope you dug all the tunes this evening. I enjoy bringing them to you every Saturday from 10 to midnight. And I want you to tune in tomorrow evening to my buddy Dave the Raven, his Relics and Rarities show. He's on from 9 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies, and all the DJs during the week starting at 8 o'clock here on Top Shelf Oldies. That's going to do it, folks. I want everybody to have a safe and happy week, and hope you join me here next Saturday starting at 10 p.m. for cool original vinyl 45s out of my collection. Just want to say, everybody, so long.
The